Hey guys, I am Beltran. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, and today's video subject matter is Christians. We need to talk. Now, before I continue, let me preface the following by saying if you are a professing Christian and you do not act in the following ways that I will list shortly, then you have no reason to be offended or triggered by anything. Feel free to detach now. If you do, however, act out in the following manner, then you are a part of the problem. It's not to say that none of us make mistakes. We all sin. But check this out. Let us begin with the example of Lauren Daigle. Lauren Daigle is a Christian contemporary pop music artist. And any artist out there, when they have a record deal, they promote and they go on the promotion circuit. So to get an opportunity to sing on a show like The Ellen Show is a big deal. It means that you're getting exposure to your message, and her message is one of Christ. So why are Christians mocking her for going on a TV show where the talk show happens to be a lesbian? She's not sitting there saying, I love homosexuality. She's not advocating for any of that. She's there to sing her song, promote her song, and sell albums. That's it. The Christians out there start to pick at her for non-issues. It's like, let her sing her songs. Let her get the exposure she requires so that she can sing. And then through her music, people might read the Bible and become more Christian. It's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. And then they start picking on her clothing, saying that she's dressing too provocatively. I don't think she is. Again, it's the need of these Christians, particularly males, who feel the need to comment and criticize everything.
Lauren was a presenter at the 2018 AMAs. This is the outfit she chose to wear for the event. Compare her dress with Paul's instructions about what proper attire for Christian women in 1 Timothy 2:9-10 is.
You can be starstruck all you want, but what she was wearing was inappropriate. That's not how a Proverbs 31 woman should dress.
Just back off and leave her alone. Like, you're not showing your fruits by the way you are behaving in response to Lauren Daigle. It looks bad. You look worse than she does. If we are to be like Christ, let us discuss who Christ spent some of his time with. Whores. Jesus was kind to whores and told them to sin no more. He did not hold their sins over their heads and, taunt them with it. That's not Christian. You don't do that. When Christians judge in this way and act in this way, this act alone is weak. It isn't godly and it isn't biblical, especially if you're doing it in a cruel and nasty, hateful manner. Lots of people have the opportunity to come to Christ and to be inspired by Christianity, but then oftentimes it doesn't work. Famous actress Jessica Alba used to come from a Catholic environment, and then her family converted out of Catholicism, became evangelical Christians. Except for her. Listen to this. When older men would hit on me, and my youth pastor said it was because I was wearing provocative clothing when I wasn't, it just made me feel like if I was in any way desirable to the opposite sex, that it was my fault, and it made me ashamed of my body and being a woman. We as Christians are supposed to demonstrate the outgrowth of Christ's power. So what does this mean? This means Galatians chapter 5, verse 22-23. But to give you a quick rundown, essentially it's love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. We are called to judge righteously, to adjudicate on someone's behalf. Are you doing it in that way? Or are you just being a prick? Matthew chapter 7, verses 1-5. Do not judge, or you too will be judged. For in the same way you judge others, you will be judged, and with the measure you use, it will be measured to you. Why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? How can you say to your brother, let me take that speck out of your eye, when all the time there is a plank in your own eye? You hypocrite. First take the plank out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye. Last year, I had trans writer and activist on my YouTube channel, Dana Pham. Unlike Lauren Daigle, I know what the Bible says on homosexuality and I don't struggle to state the facts. I treat people as I want to be treated. This is the golden rule. Yet those who claim to be Christians were so nasty to Dana and to myself. It was only upon catching up with Dana Pham recently that it was explained to me how the reaction of my then audience was so unbelievably nasty. I sat with Dana face to face and stated, what you have done to your body is an abomination unto God.
So how do you reconcile your faith in God with the fact that you are rejecting what He has created? God is a perfect divine being, and He has created you genetically as a male. But you are choosing to identify as a female, essentially rejecting, and we're not going to get into anything that you've done. If you've done it, it's none of our business. But any trans person who changes themselves medically is rejecting what God has done for them.
That is as straight up as anyone could possibly get to talking to a trans individual. Yet the vitriol I received by Christians was utterly ridiculous. These Christians are actually just disenfranchised lefties. Moving on to larger examples. Historically speaking, Constantinople and Constantine played a huge role for the Christian. Because of them, we know that Christianity remained prominent, and it was through Constantine that Christianity was no longer persecuted. Today, our Christian leaders feign a form of concern based on the pandemic by closing down our churches. So it's essential to keep bottle shops open, that's alcohol. It's essential to keep McDonald's open. But worship and prayer, non-essential. No congregating allowed, unless you belong to a different religion and you become exempt from that category. Because of our leaders allowing so much unnecessary immigration of individuals and cultures that just don't assimilate and don't adopt the Christian foundation from whence we came, we have now problems. The Australian preamble is essentially non-existent at this stage, humbly relying on the blessing of Almighty God. Does anyone even know that? We are capitulating and assimilating to the needs of the immigrants coming in. It should be the other way around. This is weak. We are a Christian country. We have been segregating ourselves from Christ. There is a way to be Christian and firm in your beliefs, yet still maintain Christ's love. Our churches have become liberal, or at least have liberalism infecting their way in. If you are a Christian and advocate for abortion, you've been infected by liberalism. If you are a Christian and advocate for promiscuity, you have been infected by liberalism. If you are a Christian and advocate for same-sex marriage, you have been infected by liberalism. How is an individual who is seeking Christ supposed to find the answers when in our mainstream, our Christian leaders can't even say what they need to say?
How do you see that?
Absolutely. I think what I was referring to there was, some people will be like, you need to you need to answer our questions about the homosexuality issue. And I always say, I do, you just don't like my answers. And here's exactly what I mean by that. Some media wants us to use our pulpit to have a soapbox for social issues. I don't believe that's our job. I don't believe Jesus did that. You go look at what Jesus did. He was always talking about the heart of an individual and the soul of a person, not these symptomatic societal problems. And people hate that because a lot of churches are about what they're against. We're about what we're for. And when it comes to people's sexuality, I don't want to use a public forum to talk about private things, because how in the world can you have a dialogue? How in the world can I hear your story? How in the world can someone have a question? So if I stand up in a pulpit and I just start railing at something or make a statement in a newspaper about something, I believe it's insensitive to the journey that people are walking on, and our church is going to protect people no matter where you're from, no matter what you carry, no matter what kind of orientation you feel like is your lane of life to run in. I want to have a conversation about it. We have a stance on love, and we have conversations about everything else.
The man from Hillsong can't say homosexuality is a sin. Joel Osteen, the false prophet tele-evangelist, can't say homosexuality is a sin.
Those are things that probably all religions kind of agree on, right? There's no contention. But like an issue like gay marriage, people look to the ministers for leadership. Sure. Is that an issue that's for you against the rules?
It would be, but Mark, I don't really focus on a lot of those things. I try to stay in my lane of what I feel called to do. Now that does come up in interviews and things, but just don't feel like that's not my core message. My core message is how do you have a healthy self-image? How do you let go of the past? How do you raise good children? How do you reach your dreams? Now I know that is part of it.
Yeah, because if you have 45,000 people, some of them are gay. For example, among other things. Yeah.
Absolutely, and everybody's welcome. But my take on it is, it's easy to make one issue to become known for that, or to let it sidetrack your message. And if you look at our congregation or the people that come to Yankee Stadium, including myself, we all have issues. Everybody's on a journey. So I try to say, here's my focus, here's my lane. That's kind of where I've stayed.
So what are we supposed to do? Reading the Bible one by themselves gets you only so far. You need a community around you. You look to other pastors, you look to other people. If these people are so weak because they're afraid to say what they need to say, because they're afraid of the cancel culture backlash from the mainstream media, then how is anyone supposed to really find Christ when, we're trying so hard to be nice and to be well liked? So, Christians, what are you doing? I'm not perfect by any means. In fact, I publicize a lot of my sins because I think it's good for people to know how flawed I really am. But let's get things back on track. This is part of the problem. This is part of the COVID problem. This is part of the government overreach problem. This is part of how and why society has gotten to where we are. We, the Christian, are to blame, at least at some capacity. We are either too hateful or we are either too nice. There is middle ground that can be met here. Be stern, but loving. Be firm, but Christ-like. So I would like to finish with a Bible verse. Do not speak evil against one another, brothers. The one who speaks against a brother or judges his brother speaks evil against the law and judges the law. But if you judge the law, you are not a doer of the law, but a judge. There is only one lawgiver and judge, he who is able to save and to destroy. But who are you to judge your neighbor? James chapter 4 verses 11 to 12. So I hope you guys have enjoyed today's video. Please give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Share, like, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Stay safe and be kind to one another.